The town of Clayton, I'd like to call this Clayton Town Council meeting to order. I ask you to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let us pray. Most gracious and heavenly Father, we pause to give you thanks for the many blessings of this day. And we ask, Lord, now that you be with us as we proceed with the business for the town of Clayton. For it's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Do we have any adjustments to the agenda?
No adjustments tonight.
All right. Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
Motion to adopt the agenda as written.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adopt the agenda as presented. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Up next is your consent agenda.
Motion to approve consent agenda.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adopt the consent agenda as presented. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. And motion carries. Up next, under the administrative items, is the Clayton For You.
Good evening, Council. I'm Emily Stahl, Communication Specialist with the Town of Clayton. So we have our fire engine, ladder truck, and rescue truck. They all serve different purposes. And in this episode of Clayton For You, we're showcasing why these pieces of equipment are so important to the Clayton Fire Department's fleet.
Spot a fire engine, ladder truck, or rescue truck responding to a call, each one is on a unique mission. In this episode of Clayton For You, we're giving you a quick look at the big red vehicles that help keep our community safe.
The fire engine is needed to fight fires fast. It is the first truck out for most calls and carries water, hose, ladders, and gear to attack flames immediately. You'll see it at fires, crashes, medical calls, and alarms anywhere speed and water are essential. The ladder truck is needed for height, access, and rescue. With a long aerial ladder, saws, and fans, crews use it to reach rooftops, clear smoke, break windows, and help people trapped above ground. You'll spot it at apartments, schools, and multi-story buildings. Did you know? Clayton is the only department in Johnston County with a staffed ladder truck. The rescue truck is needed for complex or technical rescues when someone is pinned, stuck, or in danger. It's the department's toolbox on wheels, packed with equipment for vehicle extrication, rope rescues, and tight space emergencies. Another fun fact, Clayton Fire serves as Johnston County's technical rescue provider for most disciplines. Each truck plays a different role, but they all work together to save lives and protect property when every second matters.
And remember, if you see emergency vehicles approaching, please move to the right and leave them room to pass. Want to learn more? Follow the Clayton Fire Department on social media. Thanks for watching this episode of Clayton For You. When you spot a fire engine, ladder truck, or rescue truck responding to a call, each one is on a
That's fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great job. Up next will be the Square to Square Independence Day Festival report.
Good evening. How are you?
Good.
I'm Amy Sharon with Community Development, and I'm here to talk to you tonight about our Square to Square Independence Day Street Festival and Fireworks event that is coming up in about 2.5 weeks on July 4th. This is the second year we are combining the two events, our Square to Square Street Festival and our traditional fireworks event. As you guys know, we started the Square to Square event coming out of COVID. It was a beloved event that we just didn't want to let go, and we were able to start our fireworks back up. So we combined the two last year. It's a true partnership from all of our different departments. We've got, representatives from our PD, our fire department, Parks and Rec, downtown, our public works departments out there working. We've even got engineers out there working. It's truly everyone out there. You guys are out there cutting watermelon. I know our administration's out there. Support from everyone. We're all out there giving our community some good time. The festival itself will start on the 4th at 6 o'clock, and it'll go till 8 o'clock, or till 9 o'clock, excuse me, on Main Street. Starts in Town Square and goes to Horn Square. That's where we get Square to Square. And then the fireworks will launch from Clayton High School at 9:15. We've got our traditional bike parade starting at 6 o'clock in Horn Square, and it goes to the Balloon Arch in Town Square. Our Poetry Fox is back again this year. Our rock climbing wall, we've got games and activities throughout Main Street, as well as this year we've got a roving juggler, which is new. We've got free snow cones and free watermelon, a fire truck spray down. Different town departments will be out there educating the public, as well as area nonprofits and the Clayton Farm and Community Market. And also new this year, we've got an interactive musician that will let kids come up and play some instruments and learn about different instruments that he's made himself.
Cool.
This is just the map to show you all the different activities that will be up and down the street throughout Main Street and our downtown core. These are some of the great fireworks shots that have been taken over the last 2 years from when we've shot the fireworks off from the high school. You can really see them from anywhere, Municipal Park, Town Hall, Town Square, and then of course this is just a family enjoying the fireworks. We do close Main Street for this event. It's closed from O'Neill Street to Lombard Street from 4:30 until about 10 o'clock when we can get everything cleaned up. And then right around just north of the high school for people to gather and view it, but still be able to get our emergency vehicles in and out of their home there on Fire Rescue Drive. And then in order to get emergency vehicles in and around downtown, we do have a significant amount of no parking around. The green space is kind of where we do one-sided no parking, just so that we can make sure we can get emergency vehicles around town. This is a similar map. It's just a broader view of where people can view the fireworks from, where you can park and view the fireworks, and where you could park somewhere else and then view the fireworks from just where you could walk to view them, where it says just V, or for just viewing with no car. And that's where on the high school lot we actually shoot them from to get a good spot. Do you guys have any questions?
Questions or comments? We're looking forward to it.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thanks for all your hard work. It's fantastic. All right, up next will be our public hearing section. The first one is the 2025-05 ANX Powhatan Road self-storage annexations.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Haley Downey. I'm the Assistant Planning Director at the town. And tonight before you, I have 2025-05 ANX, which is 3936 Powhatan Road self-storage annexation. The applicant is requesting a non-contiguous annexation of approximately 1.34 acres of land that's currently in the ETJ. They're requesting this in order to receive town services to serve a future expansion of their facility. The applicant and the owner are both American Self-Storage. The property itself is located just east of the intersection with Powhatan Road and Clayton Boulevard. And some important dates to keep in mind, we did advertise in the newspaper on June 4th in accordance with general statutes for an annexation public hearing. May 19th, we had the resolution for sufficiency here, and on June 2nd, we had the setting of the public hearing. So tonight is the public hearing itself. This is an aerial image of the property where the red star is. It's historically been utilized for outdoor storage in conjunction with the property to the west, which has self-storage on it currently. In 2024, they received a special use permit and site plan approval to expand that indoor storage to this property as well. So they're currently in construction drawing phase right now and are just looking to finalize an annexation to get those town services. And this is the future land use map of the property. You can see it is designated as employment center, as are all the surrounding parcels in this area. And with that, if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. The applicant is also here to speak on the application.
Awesome. Any questions or comments for staff? All right.
Okay,
Hearing
thank
none,
you.
I will open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak on this, please step forward and state your name for the record. All right. No one wishing to speak on this. I will close the public hearing and turn it over to council for their discussion. Ms. Archer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I believe that the application has met the criteria for annexation for a parcel located in the ETJ, so I'm in favor of this annexation.
Are you making that in the form of a motion?
Unless any of my fellow council members can say. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. At this time, I would like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 2025-06-01.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for the adoption of ordinance 2025-06-01. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you. The next one is Clayton on the Move, Town of Clayton Comprehensive Transportation Plan.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. Conrad Olmedo, Planning Director, Town of Clayton. Very excited to bring before you the final draft of, or the final version of the Town of Clayton Comprehensive Transportation Plan, also known as Clayton on the Move. Here to give the presentation is Shivang Shalat with WSP. He's been leading the effort on the consultancy side. There's been a big team making this happen on his end, as well as the planning effort on our end, and we're really happy to bring this before you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Shivang Shalat, Transportation Planner from WSP, and we've been working on the CTP, the Comprehensive Transportation Plan for Clayton, since July 2023, and I'm happy to be presenting this in front of you. So the agenda for today would be, we'll go through the process, the overview of the report, and the next steps. The process. Like I mentioned before, we started in August 2023. We established the vision and goals, created the existing and future conditions analysis, went through 2 rounds of public engagement. The first round was to gather public opinion, and the second round was to take the recommendations and get their opinion on the recommendations. We did a lot of travel demand modeling throughout the recommendations development, and right now I'm here doing the final adoption, bringing all that together. So report overview. So the report starts with the background. It lays the context and goals for the plan. Then we go into existing conditions analysis, where we do the existing and future population, employment, characteristics, land use, etc. Then we have public and stakeholder engagement, where we've laid out at what stages and what kind of stakeholder and public engagement did we do. And after that, the next 3 chapters are for bicycle and pedestrian facilities, transit and roadway modes. For each mode, we did the analysis and the recommendations, followed by safety analysis and recommendations, and prioritization methodology development and prioritization matrix. Excuse me. So I'll quickly go through an overview of the report as well. So chapter 1 background, it has the context, introduction, what is comprehensive transportation plan, what is the development process, we develop vision and goals, and what all planning work has been done before this plan to consolidate into this plan so that this plan can override those plans. Then coming to chapter 2, the existing and future population. Just to reiterate, the population is projected to grow threefold in the next 30 years. So that's what we planned for. This also included land use and upcoming development, the environmental constraints, and the demographics of the area. Moving forward to public and stakeholder engagement, we had 8 stakeholder touch points and 2 public engagement phases. The first phase, like I mentioned, we went out to understand what the people wanted in terms of transportation improvements and took those comments to develop recommendations, which we took back out into for the second round of public engagement. Which leads us to each mode. Beginning with the bicycle and pedestrian facilities, we had an overwhelmingly positive response towards pedestrian facilities in the town. So we started with that. We started with multi-use path recommendations, which will form the backbone of the bike ped network in the town. And then the next layer would be the sidewalk recommendations, more denser in downtown and almost mirroring the multi-use paths as we go further out from downtown. But this also includes the individual developments that will happen in the future, which will have its own sidewalk network, not shown here. And sharrows or shared bicycle paths with on car lanes, mostly where there are constraints of right-of-way in downtown and in and around downtown. And the last but not least, a greenway network, which nodes to add and how to expand that network as well. And to bring all this together, we identified several intersections to complete the network as well, because that would form the biggest barriers in the network, so to overcome those. And we developed cross sections in cases where multi-use paths and sidewalks are added to existing roadways. And we have recommended an alternate dimensions. I'll explain more on that in the roadways section. Next, we came to transit. We analyzed the transit supportiveness of the area and developed a few routes that could work well, but this is a proof of concept which will require further detailed studies going further. And coming to the roadway, which formed, so we had about 13 miles of new roadway and about 44 lane miles of new roadway in a way. A lot of these roadway projects have come from other previous plans, and we've added a few and adjusted others to follow the goals and vision of the plan. The next layer of roadway was the collector streets. These are the streets which are not based on a particular timeline. The timeline is as and when the development occurs. These collector streets will have to be developed along with the parcel under development. And these are the roadway sections that we developed for the typical cross sections. It again has recommended dimensions and alternate dimensions. The recommended dimensions are the ones which design should start from, and the alternate dimensions are the leeway given to the town staff to adjust the dimensions based on local conditions or extenuating circumstances, which is usually figured out at the roadway design stage, not at the planning stage. And we also accommodated future express bus that Campo is planning along Clayton Boulevard. So we've added that in the roadway cross sections as well. And then after that, we have 2 special recommendations. One on Clayton Boulevard to review the widening, the planned widening by NCDOT. This is again a proof of concept, needs further study, but in terms of traffic volumes and congestion, with or without widening, the congestion seems to appear in the same location. This needs further study in terms of safety, intersections, land use, access management, etc., to actually develop the corridor. Similarly, this is more of a local study where we developed a one-way pair for O'Neill and Fayetteville streets to avoid additional right-of-way acquisition that would have been required if one of these lanes were to be converted to a turn lane as per a DOT's plan. So this was an attempt to avoid that because a lot of this area is within historic district. These were a few metric comparisons that we did in 2020 in the official model, and in the future year, which is the 2050, in the official model and the model after these CTP recommendations are built in. And across the board, we see, seeing that we are planning for threefold increase in population, employment, and trips, we reduce the vehicle miles traveled, etc., slightly, and reduce the congestion or aggregate daily delay through the CTP recommendations. Then we assessed the downtown parking scenario, and a few of the recommendations we have is to highlight the available parking, especially on 2nd Street, and provide additional paved surfaces on buildings behind in NC North Carolina Railroad corridor. In addition to that, we have a lot of policy recommendations. So what we did was we studied the UDO, the transportation and the design section of the UDO, and tried to see where what language can be changed to incorporate higher connectivity. Roadway and bicycle and pedestrian connectivity. So we have a few of those roadway policy recommendation changes as well. Which leads us to safety. So we did an analysis of hotspot intersections, and we selected 4 intersections which we developed future short and long-term intersection improvements for. So this is 3 of those. One was at Amelia Church and Shotwell Road, Champion Street and Amos Street, and East Front and Church Streets. And a few design guidelines to slow down the traffic and traffic calming measures to improve safety, traffic safety within the town. And through the goals and objectives, we developed a prioritization methodology which helped us to determine which of the projects across all modes will be higher, medium, and lower priority. So the next few maps are for that. The darker the color, the higher priority is the theme of this map. So this is for the roadway. We also have it for bike ped and other modes as well, but I'm only showing roadway in this presentation. And at the end, we collected all the implementation strategies that were there in the entire report, and and this is the consolidation of all those strategies and prioritization and goal alignment of those strategies. So this is the policy implementation matrix for the town to implement. The adoption process, in the May 27th meeting, there was a unanimous recommendation of approval from the planning board. And after that, we presented to the town council at their June 2nd work session, answering the questions that arose from the planning board meeting. And Conrad, do you want to, and we notified the public noticing requirements for today's public hearing. And with that, the next step is the adoption. So I would like to thank the town for giving us the opportunity for this plan, and I appreciate it. Thank you very much, and I'll take any questions.
Any questions or comments?
I have some comments. Typically, I'm pretty critical of some of these, reports and stuff, but I just want to say I felt like y'all did a really fantastic job. There's a lot of visual aids. There's a lot of, the way it was formatted. It was easy for me to understand. So if it's easy for me to understand, I'm sure it's easy for the community to understand. Steering committee was very involved. The planning board gave some really good recommendations, and you took those and you worked towards those. So I just want to thank you for this. I think this is kind of what I would expect from a lot of these consultant reports and such in the future. Kind of sets the tone. I was fortunate to be one of the stakeholders on the group, and Councilwoman Archer was as well. And appreciate it. I know there's a lot of content in here. This is a guide, obviously. Some of these things are still up for debate that are suggested, but I think it's a great start, and appreciate you got what y'all did.
Thank you very much.
Anyone else? Ms. Archer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I wanted to thank you and your team for the work you did on this. And just in case any of them are watching, thank you so much to the steering committee. I wanted people to know in the town that a lot of your neighbors and fellow residents gave their time voluntarily to come and really comb through this thing. And if you get a chance to pull it up online, for anyone who's curious, the best chapter is chapter 8. And that tells you what all the different suggestions were and the timelines for those, which ones had cost considerations, whose kind of court that ball is in. It's just a really comprehensive start and very much appreciated. So thank you. And it's not perfect. And if there is feedback out there, by all means, you're welcome to email staff or any of us, anything you might see in there that, you might have caught that someone else didn't catch. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you. This has been noted as a public hearing, so I'll open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak on this subject, please step forward and state your name for the record.
Hi, Council and Mayor. My name is Quan Yu Chen. I live in 104 Channel Drive. Today, I'm coming here and speak to support the transport plan, but also asking you to consider putting in some additional considerations. I know as you go through the plan earlier, you saw safety is tucking in all the way in the back in number 7. But I hope that as you adopt the plan and moving toward into growing the town and also growing the population overall, you'll actually consider the safety as your top priority. One of the things that tucks in that presentation that you may not have seen right away is there's a recommendation to adopt a Vision Zero plan. That's basically an overall comprehensive safety plan. That's not just for traffic, but also pedestrians and cyclists, all things like that. I really hope that the council will take into considerations. And obviously, as you can see, I do dress like a cyclist. I love being a cyclist. So obviously, I'm here to support the bike and also the pedestrian plan as well. But I also would just like to say that earlier that you saw the presentation for the Square to Square Festival and you saw the bike parade. Isn't it really cool to see that happen? Wouldn't you love to see that every day without actually having to close the street? So if you take the recommendation for the bicycle and pedestrians and multi-use path plan in there, those things can actually happen quite often. And that's really, I think, a lot of us will really love to see. Lastly, when it comes to the plan for the transit, I know regionally we like to call ourselves Johnson County because we are, but geographically and also geoeconomically, we're really closer to Wake County, really close to Raleigh, really close to Garner, really close to Fuqua Arena. So as you're looking at transit plan, I hope when you're thinking about regional transit, you're also thinking about a collaboration with transportation group like Go Raleigh or Go Triangle. There's some plan in there for the BRT and things like that. So that's all I have to say today. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Very valid points. Anyone else? All right, thank you. No one else wishing to speak. I'll close the public hearing and turn it over to council for their discussion. Mr. Casey.
I would like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 2025-06-01.
Second.
About -03.
Yeah. 03.
Okay, yeah, 03. All right. Oh, yeah,
Clarification
yeah.
for the record, you're good.
You're right, 03, my apologies.
We have a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second for the adoption of ordinance 2025-06-03. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, and motion carries. Thank you. All right, up next will be the Unified Development Ordinance text amendments.
Back to business. Thank you very much for that, CTP. It's great news. Moving on to the code UDOTA 125. So following the town council work session on June 2nd, staff would like some additional time to address some of the language that we have concerning some of the comments that were received, both from council as well as from the community. To clarify, that would be adding some additional staff to the cover sheet. Not a problem, easy peasy. Mass grading, a little bit more of a challenge for us. Just this morning, I sent out a notice to our planning listserv. I got some good feedback. I know Courtney Tanner, our deputy town manager, is reaching out to other members of the development community. We really want to get a better grasp of mass grading before we present the whole UDOTA document back to you all. We're including an increase from 12 to 20 for outdoor seating, and then urban archery. I have taken an opportunity to look through the language and modify it to address some of the comments from our planning board. So with all due respect, we'd like to, put it open for council. We'd like the public hearing to occur tonight. Council can choose to close the hearing tonight or continue it to the 21st, but we're hoping to take action from council on the July 21st meeting with the updated UDOTA 125. And I'm available for any questions.
All right. Any questions or comments for staff? All right. Thank you, sir. This has been noted as a public hearing. So is there anyone here tonight that wishes to speak on this? Please step forward and state your name for the record.
Hello, I'm Sean Whitfield, a resident of Clayton. I'm also a hunter and advocate of the urban archery program. I just wanted to talk a little bit about why I hunt. Some of the reasons I firmly believe whenever I harvest a deer that I'm doing a service to that local community. I want to share with you some stats from the NC Department of Transportation from 2021 to 2023. There were 17,000 car accidents, $56 million in damage, 753 injuries, and 6 deaths. Johnston County is actually the 9th county in the entire state. There were 1,300 injuries, 4.4 million damages during that time. There were about annually $300 million in damages due to deer in our agriculture, in soy, corn, and cotton. So given that, I think there's quite a lot of damage that deer can wreak havoc in our communities. So taking a look at urban archery programs in North Carolina, and as I stated, some of the reasons why we have them, Clayton is one of 57 cities that participate in these programs. But unfortunately, over the past 4 years, there have been 0 deer that have been harvested in Clayton. So I found that quite interesting and wanted to take a look at what cities are more successful in urban archery in North Carolina, and 2 of which would be Shelby and Concord. Shelby, in their requirements, they require that you have 3 acres and hunt at least 100 feet away from the road. Concord is 2 acres, and they only really require that you need to have an elevated deer stand. And the other common thing with these successful programs in these cities is there's a very clear map where you can and cannot hunt. So another thing I wanted to state is safety is obviously pretty important. I know this is something that's very much of concern to a lot of people with these programs, but I just wanted to point out that of archery, there's only really been one fatal accident over the past 40 years in North Carolina. You should be more concerned about whether or not a hunter is climbing a deer stand rather than what they're using to hunt with. So, yep, that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Questions or comments? All right. Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Okay, no one else wishing to speak. I'm going to continue the public hearing till the July 21st meeting. All right, unless I hear objections. All right, we're good. So we will continue this topic and discussion and public hearing until July 21st. Okay, up next will be the fiscal year 26 comprehensive list of fees public hearing.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. Just want to do a little brief summary presentation on some of the changes that we're proposing for the comprehensive list of fees for the fiscal year 26. This is part of the budget. Obviously, we've asked that we all wait until this public hearing before we try to adopt the budget. So I have just a few slides here to sort of go over the high-level view, what we've recommended in the list. So I'll jump right in here. So to brief everyone again, we've had two public hearings for the fiscal year 26 budget on May 19th and June 2nd. The budget reflects continued growth, obviously, the town of Clayton, strategic investments in infrastructure with our capital improvement program and services, increase in needed services. Conservative fiscal approach in light of economic uncertainty. We've made adjustments here and there where we feel like it's appropriate because of uncertain economic times that we've most recently been involved in or experienced. And just a note on the legal framework of what we're doing. The public hearing, we're required to have one public hearing by NCGS general statutes. We've had two at this point. There's a couple citations there, Chapter 159-13 of the NCGS for the budget ordinance requirements, and 162A-203 addressing specifically system development fees, which are a part of the comprehensive list of fees that we're recommending adjustments to tonight. A quick recap of the rates that we have discussed already. The property tax rate of 49 cents per $100 valuation, just currently 4 cents above our revenue neutral rate. Water sewer combined rate increase, we're recommending 10.2%, which is 6% for water, 12.5% for sewer. Electric rate, 2% increase. And the note at the bottom here, the adjustments reflecting rising operational costs. And we brought this up last week, but just to put a finer point on it, the power and water that we purchase for resale, we have been notified of increases in those two costs. Water that we buy is going to go up by 10% next year. And electric that we purchase for resale will be going up 3.5%. So these rates reflect those changes. Also, again, in water sewer, we have big debt coming on for the Sam's Branch. Debt service comes due for the first time in fiscal year 26. It's about a $10 million increase in our debt service. So. And just a quick summary for the remaining changes, recommended changes in the fees, kind of separated them out by department here. Public Works, we had some adjustments in fees there for things like updating sidewalk repair fees, driveway permits, right-of-way use. All of these fees, not just in Public Works, but across the board, are reflecting cost of materials and labor. Those things continue to to rise, obviously, and we want to try to capture our costs for these services that we're providing. Planning and development, some increased fees for rezoning, site plans, plats, zoning verification. It represents a newer structure to better reflect the staff time that it takes to provide those services and the cost of materials and complexity of those services provided. Parks and Rec updated some program fees and facility rental fees this year after we made no adjustments for any Parks and Rec fees last year, if my memory serves correctly. But so this year we're adjusting a few of those fees. And public safety, there were a few adjustments to special event permits and inspection fees, mostly in fire. So our focus remains on cost recovery, service alignment. We want to try to recover the costs that we incur by providing these services. So we study those things every year. All these requests, these recommendations come backed with justifications, either market-based or data-backed. So, and the focus remains on transparency of these fees as well. So why are these changes needed? Again, we're trying to keep pace with inflation. Our service demands are increasing. We're still growing, so we still have a need to provide additional services, expanded services. It reflects updated cost of service data. So again, we're trying to recover our costs. We go through this every year. We look at what it costs us to provide these services, and we try to recover those costs. Ensures regulatory compliance, especially utilities. There are certain statutory requirements that we have for utilities, especially water, sewer. It also supports street and sidewalk maintenance, water, sewer infrastructure, cultural programming and recreation, and community safety and growth management. Just a note on public engagement. Kind of stated this before, but bears repeating. Over 2,000 respondents to our fiscal year 26 budget prioritization survey. It's really good. We held public hearings in accordance with statutory requirements, and just to make a note, we value the feedback from residents and stakeholders. It's encouraged, and it's valued. Concluding, the proposed fee schedule is going to help us be more sustainable financially. We know that services are going to continue to need, the need to grow our services is going to continue into the near future. It's going to help us sustain that need for growing our service. Adoption of the fee ordinance will enable the town to meet current and future needs responsibly. With that, I'll take any questions.
All right, thank you, Todd. Questions or comments for staff? All right, hearing none. This has been noted as a public hearing, so if anyone wishes to speak on this, please step forward and state your name for the record. All right, no one wishing to speak. I'll turn it over to council for their discussion.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt ordinance 2025-06-06.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the adoption of ordinance 2025-06-06. Is there any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Up next under old business will be the fiscal year 2025-26 budget ordinance.
All right. Well, good evening. As Todd mentioned in his previous presentation, at the last meeting, we had asked to table a decision on the fiscal year 26 recommended budget to allow for the comprehensive list of fees to coincide with that decision. One minor change that I emailed you guys about late in the week last week, I believe Friday, you should have a updated pay scale in front of you. We noticed a rounding error issue in the document that was posted with the overall packet. So we would appreciate that if any adoption is to occur tonight, that would be with the amendment of the updated pay scale that you have in front of you. Overall, program doesn't change, just like I said, some minor rounding issues. You know, we've had a lot of discussions about this budget at this point. Basically, since the first of the year, we've been struggling to be able to find a way to be able to provide for all of the needs of the community while balancing both the economic scenarios that we're in as well as some other challenges that we face. At this point, we feel like the proposal in front of you is the most balanced version of that. And all the discussions that we've had about what the priorities of the community and of this council are and how we can deliver those. So with that, Todd and myself are here, happy to take any additional questions, and we'll go from there.
All right, thank you. Questions or comments from council? Questions or comments?
I mean, I just, you know, obviously I appreciate staff and the diligence they did for all this. I appreciate Todd. I know you spent a lot of time on this. We've had 3 public hearings. I don't know if that's a record or not, but typically there are only 2. Obviously I see my role as an elected official is to just be as transparent as possible and also be as transparent about the decisions we make in the community. Like everybody else in this, that's an elected official and the people out in the community, you know, we'd preferred, you know, a revenue neutral or a smaller tax increase. I don't take those decisions lightly. It pains me to see anything above revenue neutral when we know how it affects the families, the retirees, everybody on fixed incomes. And I know we must be, you know, honest to ourselves. Our community has faced an extreme amount of growth over the years. And so have all the other communities around us. You can kind of see that as a blessing or a curse. You know, living near Raleigh and having the minis of Raleigh is a blessing, but the insurmountable growth that we've seen over the past many years is it could be seen as a curse at times too. You know, and with that growth, I mean, there comes the reality of expanded services, new infrastructure, continued investment on top of maintaining our existing infrastructure that we already have. You know, everything existing out there is going to continue to get older and need maintenance, and then everything new or proposed will come at a cost. You know, as an elected official, I think we definitely must have a continuous improvement mindset. We must focus on revenue sources that benefit our community and admit that residential growth doesn't necessarily always pay for itself. I feel like we've made some pretty major strides and continue to make strides with that continuous improvement process. We've hired a very good economic development director that is, you know, working towards those goals, and we had one previously. You know, new development should also not place an undue burden on those who have called the community home for decades. And also, I feel like we must also focus on cost reductions and improved efficiencies. We've made some strides in that area too. We've hired a budget manager. And like I said, Todd, I felt like you've done a great job along with the rest of the staff. So we must continue to have that, but we still must also have that continuous mindset improvement with respect to cost cutting and also efficiencies. So I'm going to vote for this budget. And keep in mind that this is the second year that we've raised taxes, and we must strike a balance, support a meaningful community valued growth while also maintaining a reasonable tax rate that keeps our town livable, strong for everyone. So obviously we have to keep that in mind, and we have hard decisions that we have to make up here as elected officials. And we also have to be mindful of the hardships that that are created as well. So, you know, I love this community. I know all of us up here love this community, and we're doing what we think we have to do to be a viable community. And we also need to be mindful of, you know, the decisions we make, you know, in the future as well. So thank you.
Anyone else? Too much? I mean, I think you did a good job summing it up. You know, I think the one thing that really stands out for me is that, of course, everyone would love to see any budget remain revenue neutral. But I would rather that, you know, we plan for the future and hopefully next year we don't have to see a tax increase. And I think that this is the smarter way to go about this, is by heading the way that we're heading with having it at the rate that we have it set. I think it's so much better than trying to say, hey, we're going to leave this at revenue neutral and everyone goes hip hooray, but then next year you're going to have to turn around and ask for 3 cents, which you don't want to have to do. And so my goal is hopefully there won't have to be any tax increase on the ad valorem tax next year. And as we can still, you know, to move forward. A lot of things have changed in Clayton, but the one thing that remains consistent is the demand for quality service in the town of Clayton. And we have had that all my life in the town of Clayton. And when you need a fireman, they're there. When you need a police officer, they're there. When you need to flush your toilet, it's there for you to flush. You know, the demand for quality service is there. The demand to provide that level of quality service that Clayton is known for and citizens deserve to have. You know, it costs more today than it's ever cost. But regardless of the cost, we're still going to do our very best to maintain that level of quality service that people have come to appreciate and enjoy in the town of Clayton. Ms. Archer.
I was ready to make a motion if people were ready.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to make a motion to adopt ordinance number 2025-06-04.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the adoption of ordinance 2025-06-04. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
All right, moving on with staff reports, beginning with the town manager.
Well, first and foremost, I appreciate you all voting on the budget. It's been a odyssey for some of us over here over the last several months. Congratulations to Todd for taking this one cradle to grave for the first time, and appreciate all your efforts in trying to get us down to what was as low of a rate increase that we could recommend here. You know, we don't take that lightly. We certainly understand the impacts. However, I think the mayor just hit it pretty well there. You know, the demands from the community to continue to reinvest in our community, to be able to provide those levels of services. Unfortunately, those things come at a cost, and we do have a plan. We are well on our way to to implementing a 5-year CIP program, which this budget strongly supports. You got to think about things like 2 public safety centers with a police and fire station on opposite sides of town. That's going to be a big win for the community as a whole, not only from the policing standpoint, but also from the fire response. And don't forget, fire includes emergency medical care. So every minute counts. The closer we can get to those folks, the better. As well as transportation improvements, other infrastructure that is necessary to support the growing community. So we know it's not easy to make these decisions, but we do appreciate your support in getting us there. So now it's up to us to execute. So we'll be closing out this fiscal year here at the end of the month. And we'll be turning around and trying to make all those great things happen that we proposed in the fiscal year 26 budget. So again, thank you for your support. I also wanted to say thank you to our police department for their efforts this weekend. I know being able to pull things together to be able to respond to events are not simple, and it's not easy to get everybody out there on a Saturday in the hot heat with all your gear on, but we do appreciate you and all the planning that everything that our police and our public safety did in advance of this weekend's events to keep the community safe and allow for those things to happen. I also want to say thank you to everybody that attended the Juneteenth program. I think it was well attended. We had a very great program. Some of us got pulled into it and weren't really prepared for it and may have flubbed our opening or our first acting opportunity. Others, like Mr. Sims, nailed it. So congratulations on that. But we appreciate everybody and are thankful that we can continue to provide those types of opportunities for the community. Last but not least, three things that are two things and one that I just want to make note of. At your place, you have your monthly financial report from our finance and budget office. Little light reading for yourselves whenever you feel so moved. There's also a draft of the notice that will be going out with the utility bills. Thank you to our communications department for pulling this together. Take a look at it, make sure the language and everything that's in there you feel comfortable with, but that will be heading to the printer, I believe, later this week. So if you do have any comments or questions on the format or otherwise, just let us know if you want to reach out to the communications department or myself. And last but not least, just a reminder, there will not be a meeting the first Monday of July. We only have a meeting at the end of the month on July 21st. So hopefully everybody can enjoy the 4th of July festivities. And more importantly, come join us for Square to Square on the 4th of July. That's it.
Awesome. Thanks, sir. Town attorney,
No report tonight, Mayor.
town clerk,
No report.
any other staff? All right, I'll now open the floor for informal discussion and public comment. Anyone wish to speak, please step forward and state your name for the record. All right, no one wishing to speak. I'll turn it over to council for comments. Mr. Sims.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to thank also, just want to piggyback off of Rich, the fine job that our public safety and the Clayton Police Department did for this weekend. Also want to thank him for his communication during the whole thing. It was very spot on. Also want to thank the Clayton Town Center, all the staff for the Juneteenth celebration. Again, as he stated, was very good. So just appreciate that.
I'd like to thank the Public Utility Department under Ann Games' leadership. This week, I got an email from the Utility Department that said I had a overly high water rate going through my meter. It was going fast and it was consistent. And I went outside and I forgot to turn the hose off. So they do this for anybody. They monitor these kind of things. And so I can't thank you enough for doing that. I'm sure my water bill is going to be high enough with leaving it running, but it would have been even worse if they had not sent that notice out. So thank you for being on top of things, and it's much appreciated. And I also want to thank for the event that happened on Saturday, the public behaved. The public did what they were asked to do. I think the chief had met with the leadership of those groups and told them what the parameters were, and everybody stayed within the parameters and expressed their opinions in a orderly fashion, which is what makes our country amazing. So thank you to the public for following those parameters, as well as our safety officials who put those things in place.
And you realize if you lived in Fuqua, your water bill would be even higher, just for the record. Anyone else? So I'm not really sure what this was the first time I missed a Juneteenth program. And now that I'm hearing that, we had some stars on the stage, I'm going to have to go pull that video footage and just see exactly what I missed out on.
There's Oscar winning performance that happened there.
Down there on that end.
All right, so we'll work on that. Any other comments from council? All right, thank you, everybody. I'll now entertain a motion to go into closed session to discuss a legal matter and economic development and to discuss the purchase of real property.
Motion to go into closed session. Second.
All in favor say aye. Opposed, motion carries. Please clear the room. All right, is there any other business that needs to come before this council? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Good night.